Chances are that you have seen a Zudio store recently pop up in your neighborhood. And if you got a chance to go inside that Zudio store, you would realize that this is not your ordinary shopping destination. While it looks like any other upbeat shopping center with a premium collection of clothes, as soon as you look at the price tags, you realize that everything is unbelievably affordable and you cannot find anything above Rs 999. And this is how Zudio has been opening up store after store with success. Currently having over 350 stores, Zudio said that it will be opening almost 200 stores in the coming year, taking the total count to more than 500 stores and giving its competitors a run for their money. And Zudio is not just another ordinary brand. It is owned by Trent Limited, which is the apparel arm of the mighty Tata Group, also owning the West Side chain of stores. Now the question that arises is that how is Zudio managing to provide such great clothes at such an affordable pricing? And why are brands like Max and Pantaloons not able to replicate this success? Well, to understand how Zudio is doing it, we have to take a closer look at the strategy that they are currently following. Firstly, it is the pricing model. Zudio has smartly identified a market gap in India where 60% of the Indian population is young and belongs to the middle class. This segment of the audience wants to buy trendy and good-looking apparel, but they do not have the capacity to buy premium brands like Zara or H&M. Tapping into this segment, Zudio has smartly priced all of its products below Rs 999 and still managed to keep it a premium experience with trendy apparel. If you go to any Zudio store, you will never feel like you have walked into a cheap outlet. Instead, you will be surprised by the quality of products and the price tag and the actual ambience of the store itself. And the same goes for their product line as well. The clothes are affordable, but there is zero compromise on the product quality or the designs. And they have achieved this with an extremely strong vertical integration of the supply chain. So usually how these apparel brands like Pantaloons or Reliance Trends work is that they stock private brands or labels, essentially acting as a middleman. The sales chain is longer, where the product goes from the manufacturer to the brand owner to Reliance Trends and then finally to the customer. But where Reliance Trends 75% of inventory is private labels not owned by them, Zudio owns 100% of the apparel line that is sold in its stores. And Zudio has gone ahead to take full control of the supply chain, and this has had multiple benefits. Since they own the supply chain, they use cost-efficient production methods, taking raw materials from low-cost suppliers and exercising a stringent quality check on the products, while also controlling the designs of the product line. And this has also allowed Zudio to give competition to fast fashion brands like H&M and Zara, as Zudio claims that it is able to bring in new designs literally every single week. Now, while when you go to a Zudio store, you find it is a great proposition, it is highly unlikely that you will see an ad on social media or on billboards marketing the Zudio brand anywhere. And this is where Zudio is following a genius marketing strategy that is also followed by Tesla. Zudio spends almost nothing on advertising of any sort and lets its products do the talking for them. In fact, you will not even see a model or celebrity posing for any of their banners or their clothes either. The only source of publicity that they have relied on is word of mouth marketing. Backed by Tata and already having the consumer's trust, Zudio has managed to get a big win in making customers happy. And one happy customer brings in 5 new customers, and the chain continues. And this is how, where other brands spend crores of rupees in marketing and branding, Zudio spends next to zero. But one place where Zudio actually might be investing when it comes to marketing is regional influencer campaigns. A simple Instagram search will lead you to hundreds of creators and influencers talking about how awesome the Zudio brand is. And the brilliance of this campaign does not end here. You will find that these creators are actually promoting Zudio in regional languages like Gujarati, Tamil, Marathi, Malayali, Telugu and more. And this is where Zudio has hit the bullseye once again. Recall that Zudio is targeting the middle class youth of India, and most of these people actually reside in tier 2 and tier 3 cities of our country. Cities where local languages are much more prevalent than English or Hindi. And the result is similar to how Meesho got its initial push in the market. Zudio is not just beating the competition, but it is so far ahead that the other brands are not even in the same arena. Now here, one thing that you will realize is that there are other brands as well, like Max, who provide a similar value fashion proposition. So how is Zudio managing to beat them? Well, that is because of their smart branding and design strategy. As I said earlier, Zudio makes sure that their collection of products is always trendy, introducing new designs every week, and making sure that they never go out of fashion. Other brands are unable to do this because they do not have a strong grip over the entire supply chain as Zudio does. And one other related masterstroke of Zudio is its branding. See, no one has a problem with buying affordable clothes. Obviously, I'll be happy if I get good quality clothes at cheap prices. But the labeling and branding of the clothes are extremely important from a social stature perspective. You want cheap clothes, but you do not want anyone to know that you are wearing cheap clothes. And the dead giveaway of how cheap or expensive your clothes are is the branding on your clothes. One look at a t-shirt from Max with its logo and you realize it is a t-shirt from Max, immediately giving away the fact that this person is wearing cheap clothes. But Zudio has done their branding keeping this point in mind. And I challenge you to find a visible logo or any sort of branding on any of their products. All logos and branding are hidden on the inner side of the product. And there is no way to tell that you are wearing clothes from Zudio unless someone tells you that they are wearing clothes from Zudio. And this is how, by having a strong control over its manufacturing process and supply chain, Zudio has managed to offer trendy products at extremely affordable pricing, targeting the middle class youth of our country and cracking the golden formula for success in the value fashion and fast fashion segments. But still, opening 200 stores in 1 year is a big deal, because it involves a lot of investment to open up every store. And this is where Zudio has managed the problem brilliantly once again. In several of their stores, Zudio is following the franchise-owned company-operated model or the FOCO model. In this model, anyone who is willing to get a Zudio franchise can open up a Zudio store. Now, the cost of opening the store, which includes getting the property on rent, paying the security deposit, investing in the building of the store, acquiring all the infrastructure like billing desks, is up to the franchise owner. A franchise owner will need to invest roughly 2 to 3 crores to open a single store. Once this part is done, Zudio swoops in and takes over the store, taking care of hiring people, inventory management, sales, and the overall operation of the store. The profits are split between Zudio and the franchise owner. So Zudio basically gets a brand new store at zero cost of opening, where it just brings in its people and inventory and starts selling products. The headache of bearing the opening cost and paying the rent and electricity is up to the owner of the franchise. And this is how Zudio is set on its path to open 200 new stores this year alone, where it has to spend 0 rupees of the 600 crore rupees needed to set up these stores. Now, you have to understand that there are downsides to this strategy as well. Offering products at such cheap prices means that Trent Limited is taking a hit on its profits. As I said earlier, Trent also owns the West Side chain of stores, along with the Zara and Star Bazaar stores as well. West Side used to contribute 96% of Trent's overall revenue as of the end of 2019. But as of Trent's last financial statements, this share has shrunk to 65%, as Zudio now contributes to almost 35% of the overall revenue of Trent. But West Side sells its products at almost a 3x higher price than Zudio, which means it has a much higher profit margin. This means that the overall profit margin expectations of Trent have taken a hit. But Trent is a Tata company after all, and it is playing the long game. While the profit margin at Zudio is lower, it is offset by the higher revenue. Zudio's revenue growth has been extraordinary, where the revenues have gone up 64% in this financial year to roughly rupees 2,100 crores. To put things in perspective, West Side's revenue per square feet of store area is about 11,000 rupees. But Zudio's revenue per square feet of area is nearly 18,000 rupees, which is much higher than the average rates in this industry as well, not just West Side. And what makes Zudio an even more enticing proposition for investors is that, unlike other stores like West Side, Zudio targets the Tier 2 and Tier 3 markets as well, which means it has unlimited potential for expansion. Moreover, these Tier 2 and Tier 3 markets cannot be penetrated by other brands like Reliance Trends or H&M because of the price barrier, making Zudio a virtual monopoly in these markets. Now, what lies ahead of Zudio is not an easy path, and replicating this success on a larger scale is definitely going to be challenging, particularly from a supply chain perspective, which gets exponentially complicated as the company expands. But if there is anyone who can pull this off, it definitely has to be the house of Tatas. And we could be the witness of the growth of yet another Tata giant in the coming years. I really hope you liked my analysis of Zudio. And if you have made it this far, I'd request you to hit the like button below, as it is extremely important for me to continue making more videos like this. Please hit the subscribe button so I can continue to bring you more learnings in the future. And finally, let me know in the comments which story you want me to cover next. Until then, goodbye.